Howdy doody, everyone. It is your boy, Matthew, or Derek, or whatever else you would like to call me. And, yeah. So, this video is about the Oscar nominees and hopeful winners of the year of 2021. That's this year. So anyways, I will be going over all 23 of the actual Oscar categories, plus 3 extra ones that I decided to throw in just because I wanted to talk about some more movies that I thought should be mentioned. And I think these 3 categories should also become actual Oscar categories in the near future. Throughout this video, I will be discussing 4 different things, I think. 1, who will actually win the award, or who I think will actually win the award. 2 is who I think should win out of the actual Oscar nominees. 3 is my choices on who I would have nominated for each category. I'm going to limit it to 5 each time. And then 4 is who should win out of my nominations, because we all know that I have the right decisions and not the Academy, right? Oh, I will also be giving a short list for most of the categories, typically around 3 shortlisted films for each category. There may be less. There won't be more unless I just talk about something on accident. So yeah, it'll be those 4 things. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. If it didn't make sense to you, it made sense to me, and that's all that matters. Fun fact about this year was that this is the first year in Timothée Chalamet's 7-year youthful lifetime where he hasn't had a movie be released. Now, I know that that's because he had 2 movies lined up for 2020 that ended up getting pushed, but maybe that was for the better. So yeah, I guess we won, but I don't know if it's really winning because now we're getting 3 Timothée Chalamet movies this year. 2020 seemed to like the number 3 a lot. Like, the number 3 seemed to be a running theme throughout the year. We had 3 movies that were like Groundhog style time loop kind of movies. Then we also had those 3 hidden camera prank style. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that's a genre that I got into this past year, and I unfortunately really like that genre now. We also had 3 Tom Hanks movies come out this year to make up for the lack of Timothée Chalamet, which I think was a great win for all of us, right? Now, of course, there's always going to be a ton of movies every year that get released that I'm going to unfortunately miss, that could have had good Oscars chances. But there's also going to be those movies that I unfortunately did watch that just do not deserve Oscar nominations or even mentioning later on. But at the end of the day, I can proudly say that I watched 100% of the Oscar nominees of this year. I thought I was going to get 99, but I hit 100, and I'm very proud of that. And I worked really hard over that for the past month. And I feel really tired because I just watched movies, but it was totally worth it. I hope. This is the first year I actually tried with the Oscars, and I could safely say that I was not disappointed for the most part. There was just 1 or 2 films in there that I just did not appreciate. So now I guess let's go over the films that I think should have been nominated this year, from a movie with Michelle Pfeiffer talking to her dead cat through a witch and her candle, to another movie about millennial cavemen. Yes, both did come out this year. Sorry, I forgot to give a spoiler alert for The French Exit, but most of you probably aren't going to watch that movie, so it doesn't matter anyway. Also, a disclaimer, I want to say that I am not too well informed with the other awards, such as SAG. I did watch the Golden Globes, though, so I kind of know that, but I don't really, I know there's all this formula and stuff, but I'm only worried about the Oscars right now. So if I don't mention something that might have been important, then forget it, or just put hate in the comments. I don't care. So first things first, I'm going to start off with a speed round of movies that were not on the long list of eligible films for this 2021 season, but I do feel like they should be mentioned because I would have nominated them in something. Okay, first up, we have Uncle Frank. I would have nominated that film for Best Lead Actor just for Paul Bettany because he did a fantastic job in there. Then Godmother and Flora and Ulysses, both on Disney+, I would have nominated them for Best Visual Effects. Wendy Williams the movie, I would definitely have given a nomination and a win for Best Lead Actress for Sierra Payton because she killed it in that role. And I love her portrayal of Wendy Williams. For Mariah Carey's Christmas special, I would have given it nominations for Best Makeup and Hairstyling and Best Costume Design. For A Class Action Park, I would have nominated it for Best Documentary Feature. For Black is King, it would have gotten nominations for Best Cinematography, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Editing, and Best Costume Design. For The Courier, I would have given it Best Lead Actor for Benedict Cumberbatch, Best Editing, Best Directing for Dominic Cook, and Best Picture. For Shiva Baby, I would have given it nominations for Best Original Screenplay, Best Directing for Emma Seligman, for a Best Lead Actress for Rachel Sennett, and Best Picture. And then the last case that I want to mention, which is a whole weird thing, is And Then We Dance, which is a foreign film that most of you probably have not heard about, but you could watch it on Amazon Prime if you have that. It is weird because it says that it's eligible for this season, like the 93rd Oscars, which is this year, but it was submitted for the 92nd Oscars, so I'm really confused on how that all turned out. And Then We Dance, I would have given it nominations for Best International Feature for Sweden or Georgia, I'm not sure exactly which country it is. Best Sound, Best Lead Actor for Levin Galbakiani, Best Directing for Levin Akin, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Picture. So now I'm going to start with the 3 categories that I made up. Or not really made up, but like I feel like they should be actual categories for the actual Oscars. So yeah, there are no actual nominees for these categories, but I will not be having shortlists for these categories either. So first one up, we have Best Ensemble Cast, and the 5 nominees are The Five Bloods, Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari, One Night in Miami, and Trial of the Chicago 7. Now, I know that Trial of the Chicago 7 won this category for the SAG Awards, I think. But I will give this to Minari because I think Minari had like a really strong cast all around where all of them pulled their weight. They all did fantastic jobs. And I love that movie because of them. They carried that film. Well, obviously, they're the ones in it. So then, the second category I will be going over is Best Lighting Design. Now, this category is stolen from the Tony Awards and doesn't really fit with the Oscars, I guess. But it's pretty self-explanatory, and I kind of made this category up because of one specific movie that I looked at the lighting and I was like, wow, it's perfect. So, my 5 nominees are Boys in the Band, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, One Night in Miami, Promising Young Woman, and Soul. Now, I made up this category just for Soul to win, and I know that it's animated, so the lighting design is obviously going to be different there. But I was watching the movie, I rewatched it the other day, and I was looking at the lighting design, and I was like, wow, compared to Toy Story 1, Pixar really stepped up their game with their animation. And especially the scenes where he's playing jazz in the nightclub, I think the lighting design is just so perfect there. And that's why I made up this category for this video, because I think it really deserves it. So yeah, that's it for Soul. I think Soul's the winner. Now we have Best Stunt Coordination. Now I know that this category has been widely requested by many fans of these award shows. And I think it should also be added because, you know, you have like people doing these crazy stunts and like life risking actions that just don't get recognized, but they should. These stunt actors, they really bring the movie to life, especially if it's an action movie. Well, it should be an action movie if there's going to be stunts. And by the way, I will be reading the full titles of each one, so get ready for Borat. But anyways, my nominees for Best Stunt Coordination are Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, Love and Monsters, Mulan, Tenet, and Wonder Woman 1984. I did not like half of these movies, or actually 3 out of 5 of them, I absolutely hated these movies. But I nominated them just because I felt bad. And also, not many stunt work came out this year because Marvel decided not to release anything. Thank you, Black Widow. But anyways, my winner in this category is Probably Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. That's a really good movie, and I think they all just killed it. I love the action scenes. They're fun, they're inventive, they're nice to look at. Tenet also had good action scenes, but I just did not like Tenet. So Birds of Prey will take it home. Now for Best Animated Feature, I gotta say I was kind of disappointed with the animated films that came out this year. In my honest opinion, I think they were all pretty weak. Like, there was no standout where I was like, oh yes, I want to campaign for this movie to win. I think if Raya and the Last Dragon had come out back in November when it was supposed to come out, then it would have been the movie I would have fought hard for, because it's a fantastic movie and everyone should watch Raya and the Last Dragon. I don't care if it's $30 on Disney Plus, they can have my money. So, for the actual nominees of Best Animated Feature, we have Onward, Over the Moon, a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. Okay, so obviously Soul will and should win. I think Soul is the best one out of the 5, though the other 4 are pretty weak in my opinion. For my short list, I have Scoob, Trolls World Tour, and Wolfwalkers. And the reason why I didn't put Wolfwalkers in my actual nominees is because I did not like Wolfwalkers, surprisingly. I think the animation style is really beautiful, and it's one of the best animated features, one of the best animated movies I've ever seen, especially with the 2D style that it has. But I just did not like the story enough for me to nominate it in my own nominees. And then the other ones, Scoob and Trolls World Tour, the only reason why those are shortlisted was because I did not want to mention Earwig and the Witch, because that one was it was horrendous. That was the first Studio Ghibli movie I've ever seen, and I'm already at a really low bar. So hopefully Spirited Away is good. My nominees aren't going to be much different from the actual nominees. There's just going to be obviously no Wolfwalkers. So I have decided to nominate The Croods: A New Age, Onward, Over the Moon, a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, and Soul. The Croods: A New Age, I nominated this movie because of the Banana Bros, because I thought that was so funny. I don't know why. And also I just really like the Millennial Caveman. I think that's such a weird twist that I didn't see coming, but it was obvious. And then a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, I did not know that they were still making these movies. I really thought Shaun the Sheep was long gone from my childhood, but no, it was such a pleasant surprise to see it here, and I'm so happy that the Oscars nominated it so I could watch this movie, and it was so good. I loved it. Onward and Over the Moon, they're alright, but yes, Soul is still the winner. Again, I didn't love it as much as other people did, but it's the best one out of the 5. Okay, moving on to Best Short Film Animated. I have seen 9 out of 10 of the shortlisted ones, but I have seen all 5 of the nominees. The only one I haven't seen out of the shortlisted was Traces. So I don't know if that one's good. I heard pretty mixed reviews about that, but I will not be considering it. So the actual nominees for Best Short Film Animated are Burrow, Genius Loci, If Anything Happens, I Love You, Opera, and Yes People. I do not know how Yes People was nominated, but it's here. It was alright, but it's really childish and a little out there. I think If Anything Happens, I Love You will win. I just see a lot of hype coming for that short film. You could watch that on Netflix if you want to. I don't really love it, but it was alright. But I think my winner in this category is Opera. That one's a fantastic short film. It blew my mind when I first saw it. For my short list, I have If Anything Happens, I Love You, The Snail and the Whale, and To Gerard. To Gerard was just cute. The Snail and the Whale was really close to making my nominations list, but I decided to choose Burrow over that. And If Anything Happens, I Love You, the reason why I did not include that in my nominees was because I didn't love it so much. I didn't like it the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I was like, okay, it's alright. But I'm not a fan of King Princess. I'm sorry to all of you King Princess stans out there. It's just not for me. My nominees for Best Short Film Animated are Burrow, Genius Loci, Kape Mahu, Opera, and Out. By the way, I want to mention that I'm very sorry if I mispronounce some of these, like Genius Loci or Kape Mahu, but I am trying my best. Like I said, Burrow was really close to not making it to the list, but it's here. I needed a fifth one. Genius Loci, that one was weird because I didn't really understand what was happening the entire time, but I think it looked really cool. And like afterwards, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, it was so deep. I love this urban living, and I hope that's what it was about. Yeah, the art style was really, really good. One of the best art styles I've ever seen. Really inventive, really imaginative, really, really great. Kape Mahu, the reason it is here is because it really educated me on history that I would otherwise not have heard about ever. This is the kind of form, the art form, that could really make an impact with people because the art style was so engaging and so beautiful to look at. And it really told a story that I think should be known by many other people. I loved it. Out is on Disney Plus. You can watch that. I think that one's pretty cute as well. It's a good one. But yeah, again, my winner is still Opera. 5 stars on that one, and you get my Oscar win. Thank you. Okay, next up we have Best Costume Design. The actual nominees for this category are Emma, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, Mulan, and Pinocchio. I think Emma should win just because it had the nicest costumes in my opinion. They were a lot more overdramatic and very like older time period, so there kind of needed to be more effort put into their costume design, and each character had their own distinct look that really made them stand out from each other, and I think Emma should win. But I think the Academy will decide to go with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom for the Oscar win there. And I think that's well deserved. I love Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and I love their costume design in there as well. I think that would be a well-deserved Oscar win. For my short list, I have Mank, Mulan, and Pinocchio. Birds of Prey I would have had in my short list if only everyone's costume in the movie didn't look so bad besides Harley Quinn. Like, they really paid so much attention to Harley Quinn and her costumes because her costumes were great, but then you had everyone else who they just had like a regular old t-shirt and some jeans, and it was such a shame to see them try not so hard with the rest of them. But my nominees for Best Costume Design are Boys in the Band, Emma, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and The United States vs. Billie Holiday. Again, I think Emma is the winner here. For Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, I nominated that here because of the Volcano Man sequence at the beginning of the movie. Like, all of their costumes, Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams, they had very over-the-top kind of costumes that was perfectly necessary for their characters. So that's why I nominated them here. The United States versus Billie Holiday. Everyone in the cast had some really, really nice costumes that were very period, very, very nice to look at. And then Boys in the Band, I also decided to include here because they had nice costumes as well. They weren't too flashy as compared to the rest of the nominees on this list, but I think that it was very fitting for each one of their characters and kind of showed off different sides of them and actually showed some of their personality. Next up, we have Best Makeup and Hairstyling. The nominees for this category, as nominated by the Oscars or the Academy or whatever you like to call it, they are Emma, Hillbilly Elegy, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, and Pinocchio. I think Hillbilly Elegy was offensive with its makeup. Mank had really good makeup and hairstyling for Amanda Seyfried, but then that's it. I can't recall anyone else in Mank like popping off as she did. And then Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I think will and should win for this category because all of their makeup and hairstyling was so detailed and so carefully put together, and like you could really see the effort that they put into them. And I think it was just the best example of makeup and hairstyling that I have seen in quite a while. My short list includes Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, Mank, and Trial of the Chicago 7. My nominees for Best Makeup and Hairstyling are Emma, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Pinocchio, and the United States vs. Billie Holiday. If you could not tell by now, I love Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. Yes, the full name. And I also like the United States vs. Billie Holiday a lot, so you're going to see me push them a lot more than I would push other films. But anyways, I think Emma had great hairstyling, but not so great makeup. Well, it wasn't that the makeup was bad. I just think that the makeup wasn't really apparent, which is kind of what movies should be going for. But, there wasn't too anything stand out about it. And then Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. I think it had great makeup and hairstyling during the Volcano Man scene again. And also during the song-along. Like, they really, really had good makeup and hairstyling for everyone in that song. And I know that I said Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, it should and will win for the actual Oscars, but I'm going to change it here for my nominees. I'm going to give the win to Pinocchio because and I know nobody has watched or even heard of Pinocchio. And honestly, I didn't even hear about it either until the Oscar nominations came out. But I gave the win to Pinocchio because the entire movie I was watching it, I thought that the boy was CGI. I thought that everything was CGI until afterwards, and I realized, oh shoot, that's how he really looks. So that blew my mind. So yeah, I'm going to have to give it Best Makeup and Hairstyling because that was really cool. For Best Documentary Short Subject, I have watched 7 out of 10 of the shortlisted films for this category. So the ones I have not seen are Abortion Helpline, This is Lisa, Call Center Blues, and Hysterical Girl. I could not find anywhere to access them, so I'm sorry if I don't put them in my nominees list. I don't know them. The nominees for Best Documentary Short Subject are Colette, A Concerto is a Conversation, Do Not Split, Hunger Ward, and A Love Song for Latasha. All 5 of these are excellent, excellent, excellent pieces of work, and I highly recommend all of you watch them. I was able to watch them somewhere on the internet. I think A Concerto is a Conversation will win, but I think A Love Song for Latasha should win. It was really my favorite one, and it was the one that hit the most with me. For my short list, I have A Concerto is a Conversation and What Would Sophia Loren Do? I love Sophia Loren, especially after watching her movie this past year, The Life Ahead. So I of course I want to mention that, and it was just really good. But unfortunately, I had to shortlist it because the rest of the nominees in this category were so strong. So my nominees for Best Documentary Short Subject are Colette, Do Not Split, Hunger Ward, A Love Song for Latasha, and The Speed Cubers. Now I know you all, or not you all, because I feel like most of you haven't watched a single one of these, but I know that some of you who have watched them will be like, why would you put The Speed Cubers over A Concerto as a Conversation? And don't get me wrong, I love that one, but I think The Speed Cubers was like just the funnest one out of all the shortlisted ones that I've seen, so the 7. If you don't know what the Speed Cubers is, it's basically about Rubik's Cube competitions and breaking world records and that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in those kind of games, you could go watch that on Netflix if you'd like. It's only around 40 minutes, maybe 30. I don't necessarily remember. But I thought the main 2 guys from the Speed Cubers, they were like really good role models for everyone to follow, because although they were competitive with each other, they were competitive for the right reasons, because they wanted to encourage each other to do better. And they weren't going to try to bring each other down. They weren't trying to harm one another or like make them feel bad if we're losing. Like, they were very diplomatic, they were very friendly, and they were very kind to one another. And I feel like that's a great message that everyone kind of needs to learn right now. So yes, I highly recommend the Speak Cubers. But again, my winner for this category is A Love Song for Latasha. I think it was just the strongest one out of the 5, and I love that one so much. I love it. Best documentary feature. I don't really watch that many documentaries, so with my nomination list, you won't see too much different from it. You will see one difference. But from the actual Oscar nominees, we have Collective, Crip Camp: A Disability Revolution, The Mole Agent, My Octopus Teacher, and Time. All of these they're all really good. I don't know how My Octopus Teacher was nominated though, but I think Time will win. Maybe Collective, but I really think it's gonna go to Time. I think The Mole Agent should win because it was like a stylized documentary. You don't normally see stylized documentaries, but like it was very comedic, very funny. Although it wasn't an entirely different language, I still understood the jokes and like I understood what they were going for. So yeah, I think The Mole Agent should win. My short list is just My Octopus Teacher, just because it was the weakest one out of the 5. It was really strange. I found myself really engaged throughout the documentary, and I liked it. I liked watching it. But I have a huge fear of animals, especially the ones that crawl in the ocean. So it was kind of scary to me. But it was interesting. It was certainly interesting. My nominees for Best Documentary Feature are Boy State, Collective, Crip Camp: A Disability Revolution, The Mole Agent, and Time. I do not know how Boy State wasn't nominated in the first place. It's a fantastic documentary, and I'm a poli-sci major, so like I really care about like politics and stuff, and I love hearing about this kind of stuff. And so I thought Boy State was the most interesting, so Boy State is my winner in this category. Now we're on to Best Sound. They no longer have best like sound editing and sound mixing, which kind of confused me. So I'm just happy that they combined them into one category. Once I read the actual nominees, it will be pretty obvious who's going to win. Like there's an obvious winner. The name of the category is even in the name of the movie. So yeah, the actual nominees for Best Sound are Greyhound, Mank, News of the World, Soul, and Sound of Metal. And of course, Sound of Metal will and should win. It is the best movie with the best sound design I've ever heard. But my short list, it includes Cherry, The Five Bloods, and The United States versus Billie Holiday. The only reason Cherry's on here was because I felt bad for that movie, and I felt like I should mention it somewhere. I didn't love the movie, but they certainly tried. And I think that there was some sound design in there, especially in the war scenes where I was like, wow, there's actual like effort in something. I don't have Tenet on my short list or on my actual nominees, unfortunately. Not unfortunately. Tenet was so loud, and Tenet, I did not understand a single thing that they were saying. I know that like you probably don't understand what I'm saying either, but this is a movie. I didn't like the sound design on Tenet. I don't know why people are campaigning for Tenet for best sound. I think they felt like Tenet deserved something, but they knew that Tenet did not deserve best picture, so they're just gonna put it in sound, which I guess go ahead, campaign for what you want. But my nominees for best sound are Greyhound, The Invisible Man, News of the World, Soul, and Sound of Metal. Again, Sound of Metal is the winner here. It's kind of obvious. Greyhound and News of the World, I know that nobody's watched those movies, but I did. And both of them were very, very loud. But kind of in the right way, where like the sound really enhanced the movie. I don't know. One's a war movie, the other one is a country film, and they both have Tom Hanks. So why not mention those somewhere? I also like News of the World, so I wanted to put it in one category. The Invisible Man had some really inventive ways with sound. Of course, it's a horror movie, so they're going to have to work with sound. And then Soul is just Soul. I guess it's all about sound. My winner for best sound is Sound of Metal. My winner and everyone's winner is Sound of Metal. Are you kidding me? Category 11, we have Best Directing, which is kind of like a big category. I wanted to put it over here near the beginning, even though we're more in the middle, but I felt like it should be not mentioned now. The Oscar nominees for Best Directing are Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, David Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, and Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. I'm sorry if I mispronounce some of these names. I don't mean to do it intentionally, but I am trying. Right out of the gate, I don't think Thomas Vinterberg should win. I'm going to be completely honest. And it seems like I'm the only person who didn't like Another Round. I thought it was alright, but I'm not a fan of alcoholism and that kind of stuff. So it just wasn't my kind of movie. I think because of the Golden Globes, I think Chloe Zhao will and should win. Because that's it. I just think Chloe Zhao will and should win in this category. My short list, it includes Florian Zeller for The Father, Lee Whannell for The Invisible Man, and Lee Isaac Chung for Minari. My nominees for Best Directing are Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, Regina King for One Night in Miami, Shaka King for Judas and the Black Messiah, Joe Mantello for Boys in the Band, and Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. I love all 5 of these movies so much, and I think that the directing in all 5 of them was so strong, and you could really see it in each of those films. Like the influence that each director had. They had their own twist, they had their own style of filmmaking that was really, really apparent, and I feel like these were the 5 best examples that I could see in the movies that came out this year. For me, I would give Regina King the win for One Night in Miami in this nomination list. I really love Regina King as an actress. And so I might be a little biased, but I think that her directing style was really, really shining through One Night in Miami. Next up, we have short film live action. And luckily, I have been able to watch all 10 of the shortlisted ones. So I will be talking about my favorite ones, I guess. All of these nominees are fantastic short films, and I highly recommend that everyone go watches them however way you can. I know some of them are going to be a little difficult to watch them somehow because for some reason they're not accessible in most places, but you could find a way if you try hard enough. The actual nominees for Best Short Film Live Action are Feeling Through, The Letter Room, The Present, Two Distant Strangers, and White Eye. Out of these, I think The Letter Room will win because it is Oscar Isaac. And so I think the fact that Oscar Isaac is in it might get people, like actual Academy voters, to watch this short film over the rest because they know Oscar Isaac and they know he's going to do a good job. And he did do a good job. I really think he did. But in my opinion, my favorite one out of these 5 was Feeling Through. And I think Feeling Through should win. I just thought it was so like moving to see human empathy. And I thought it was such a great short film. My short list, unfortunately, has The Letter Room, The Van, and White Eye. I didn't think any of these are bad, but there were 5 better ones that I liked more, and unfortunately, these had to be pushed to the side. But my nominees for Best Short Film Live Action are Feeling Through, How to Say I Love You at Night, The Present, Two Distant Strangers, and 911. Now you're probably thinking, what's 911? It's it's a song by the one and only Lady Gaga, Oscar-nominated Lady Gaga. And it might be a little controversial for me to put this on my list, but I mean, on the YouTube title of the song, music video, it says short film. So I'm going to consider it a short film. Don't judge me. And guess what? I'm going to make it my winner because it was my favorite one. Now, I love the song, but I just thought, what a twist of a short film. If you haven't seen it, go watch it right now. Give her some views because she does a fantastic job in the short film 911. I love that short film. Love it, love it, love it. So yes, it will be my winner. But the rest of these are also really good. Of course, if I'm going to nominate them, they have to be great. Anyways, yes, my winner is 911 by Lady Gaga, and you are not going to do anything about it. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Moving on to Best International Feature. I didn't really watch any other foreign films besides the ones that were nominated this year, but it's okay because most of these are great, so I kept them on here. The actual nominees from the Academy for Best International Feature are Another Round, Better Days, Collective, The Man Who Sold His Skin, and Quo Vadis Aida. I think Another Round will win because Thomas Vinterberg is also nominated for Best Directing, so that kind of gives it the extra edge. That means that the Academy really, really liked it. But I think Quo Vadis Aida should win. It's on Hulu in case any of you want to watch it. But it really, really moved me. It really moved me. And I loved that movie so much. I can't really describe it. It's so good. Better Days was also very close between who I think should win. But Quo Vadis Aida, fantastic, fantastic film. Anyways, for my short list, I have decided to put only Collective. My nominees for Best International Feature are Another Round, Better Days, The Man Who Sold His Skin, The Mole Agent, and Quo Vadis Aida. Again, my winner is Quo Vadis Aida, but it was really close with Better Days. The Man Who Sold His Skin is also very good, but I did decide to include The Mole Agent in here because I think it's a fantastic, fantastic film. Really funny, really catched my attention. Moving on, we have Best Original Score. The actual nominees from the Academy are The Five Bloods, Mank, Minari, News of the World, and Soul. I think it is such a shame that this is like one of the only nominations that The Five Bloods got because I think it is such a great, great movie. But unfortunately, the Oscars didn't think so. I don't remember the score to News of the World or Minari, so I'm not going to give them to the win. I think Soul will and should win. It is the obvious winner for this category. The movies that were shortlisted for me were Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, The Midnight Sky, and Palm Springs. And I feel like a lot of you will think that I'm stupid for putting these three movies, but those are my opinions and I don't care about yours. Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. For some reason, I really love the score of the movie. And, like, it's the one that, like, I have remembered the most for some reason. And, like, it's the only one that I have saved on, like, my playlist. So I will actually listen to it. The Midnight Sky has a pretty good score as well. I think it's probably the strongest aspect of the movie. And then Palm Springs. I originally had this as one of my contenders for my top 5 nominees, but it got replaced by a movie I watched last minute. So if you see it in the editing that there was a problem, like there's a lack of continuity between some of them, just know that Palm Springs was changed at the last second. So this was all really hard to narrow down between who I think should have been nominated for Best Score, but my nominees are The Five Bloods, French Exit, Mank, Soul, and Supernova. Most of you haven't watched French Exit or Supernova, so why talk about it? But I think I think French Exit is my winner. Unfortunately, I did not enjoy the movie too much, but the score is really strong. Supernova was a close winner in my opinion. I did not give it a Soul just because I just like the score for Supernova and French Exit more. And then Mank, I decided to actually keep. I don't love the movie. I don't even like the movie. But it has a pretty good score, so it's gonna get nominated on here. You're welcome, Mank. I'm giving you something because you're only gonna get breadcrumbs from me. Okay, now moving on to Best Original Song. The actual nominees from the Oscars are Fight For You from Judas and the Black Messiah, Hear My Voice from Trial of the Chicago 7, Husavik from Eurovision Song Contest The Story of Fire Saga, EOC from The Life Ahead, and Speak Now from One Night in Miami. There's not much to debate here. I think Speak Now from One Night in Miami will win. Leslie Odom Jr. kills it in the song. But I think my winner from this category would be Husavik from Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga. I love that movie. I love Eurovision. And you all are going to hate me for saying that. But I don't care. My nominees for Best Original Song. Oh my god, I'm reading my first one and I feel really upset that I put it actually on here. But yeah, my nominees for Best Original Song are Diamonds from Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Double Trouble from Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga. Hear My Voice from Trial of the Chicago 7. Loyal Brave True from Mulan. And Ultraluminary from Over the Moon. For Diamonds from Birds of Prey, I don't know if that one counts. I'm not really too sure if that's an original song. And if it is not, I apologize. You could replace it with Fight For You from Judas and the Black Messiah. Hear My Voice is the only one I carried over from the actual Academy nominees because I think it is my favorite one out of the 5. Yeah. Yeah. And then Loyal Brave True from Mulan just because it's Christina Aguilera. And same thing with Ultraluminary from Over the Moon. It's because it's Philippa Sue, and I like both of them, so that's why they get nominations on here. But my winner for this category, Best Original Song, is Double Trouble from Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga. Yes, the full title. And that's just because I think it's better than Husavik, and I love the movie. It kind of reminds me of last year's Oscar nominees for this same category when Into the Unknown was nominated over Show Yourself, because Show Yourself was an immensely better song than Into the Unknown, yet Into the Unknown was nominated. I think Double Trouble is better than Husavik, but that's just my opinion. It may not be yours, and it's fine if we disagree on that. So yeah, I would give the win to Double Trouble from Eurovision. It's a song that I have playing in my head over and over again. I also would have put Lion of Love from Eurovision as well, because that song's it's really good. All of you should listen to Eurovision, watch that movie, because it's a lot better than what people say it is, and people need to stop bullying on that movie. It's so mean. Anyways, moving on, we are now in Actress in a Supporting Role. This is like major. Yeah. I feel like it's really close between all 5 of the actual nominees, especially with like the other awards too, because I've been hearing that like different ones have been winning, like supporting and lead actress, like different people have been winning for each one. And like I like that there's genuine competition, because like all of these nominees, they're so good. Anyways, the Academy nominees for Best Actress in a Supporting Role are Maria Bakalova for Borat's subsequent movie film Delivery of Prodigious Bride to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. And remember what I said earlier, I will be reading the full titles. Next up, we have Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman for The Father, Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Yun Ye-jung for Minari. I'm very sorry if I mispronounce any of the names again. I'm not trying to. I am not trying to make fun of anyone. I'm just trying my best. I think it's really close between all of them. I think it's really, really close. But I don't know, except for Glenn Close. I don't know how Glenn Close is here for Hillbilly Elegy. She was nominated for a Razzie. I think she could win that, but I don't think she could win the Oscars. I think Yoo Jung-yeon from Minari will win the Oscar, because she did a fantastic job. I'm between Maria Bakalova and Olivia Colman, but I think I love Olivia Colman in The Father. She does a great job, but I think Maria Bakalova she should win for Borat's subsequent movie film Delivery of Prodigious Bride to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. You're welcome. I think she should win because she does a great job in that movie. She does a really, really great job. So yeah, Yoo Jung-yeon for Minari. I think she will win, but I think Maria Bakalova should win. My short list for this category are Jodie Foster for The Mauritanian, Sophia Loren for The Life Ahead, and Yun Ye-jung for Minari. So my nominees for Actress in a Supporting Role are Maria Bakalova for Borat's subsequent movie film Delivery of Prodigious Bride to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan, Olivia Colman for The Father, Dominique Fishback for Judas and the Black Messiah, Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Marissa Tomei for The King of Staten Island. That last one, Marissa Tomei, I don't know what I was thinking. I felt bad for the movie. I felt bad. I went King of Staten Island and Emma are like two movies that I went in wanting to hate, but I liked them kind of. And I think Marissa Tomei, she did a really good job in that movie. So yeah, she's here. For Dominique Fishback, I do not know how she was not originally nominated, because she really kills it in that movie. She really kills it in Judas and the Black Messiah, and I really liked her performance. She's really good. I hope she gets a lot more work soon so that she will win her Oscars. Finally, she deserves it. And then Maria Bakalova, I think she's my winner for Borat's subsequent movie film delivery, A Prodigious Bride to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. I just love saying the name of that movie. But she is my winner. And the reason why is because I think it's so much harder to get recognized for a comedic performance than it is for a dramatic one. And so Maria Bakalova kind of breaking that mold and getting nominated for a role that for the role that she did in Borat is so fantastic to me, and I think she really deserves it. I love Borat. I love that movie, and I think she really stands out. Amanda Seyfried was the only thing about Mank that I liked. The rest of it I just could not sit through. So yeah, thank you, Amanda Seyfried, for making that somewhat enjoyable. So now moving on to Best Actor in a Supporting Role. The Oscars have decided to nominate Sacha Baron Cohen for Trial of the Chicago 7, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, and Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah. And I think it is criminal that this is the only nomination that One Night in Miami has. Or is it the only nomination? Oh shoot, I might be wrong on that. But either way, it deserves a lot more nominations than it got. I love One Night in Miami. And Leslie Odom Jr., he kills it. He does a fantastic performance in that movie. Lakeith Stanfield, he also does a really good job in Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm a little confused as to why he's in the supporting category, but he does a really good job. And Sacha Baron Cohen, he was the most enjoyable part of Trial of the Chicago 7, so I guess it makes sense for him to be on here. Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, he does like one of the best performances I've ever seen in a movie. He has such great energy about him that's so encapsulating, and is that a word? I don't know. But he was just really enjoyable to watch. But I think Daniel Kaluuya should and will win for this category because he knocks it out of the park for Judas and the Black Messiah. And seeing him in other movies as well, he's such a diverse kind of actor that could do so many different types of roles, and I'm so excited to see what he has coming up. My shortlist for this category are Alan Kim for Minari, Andrew Rannells for Boys in the Band, and Trayvon Rhodes for The United States vs. Billie Holiday. My nominees for actor in a supporting role are Robin DeJesus for Boys in the Band, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah, and Stanley Tucci for Supernova. I know that I said I was confused as to why Lakeith Stanfield was nominated for supporting, even though I just put him in supporting. But the reason why I put him in supporting was because there was not enough spots in lead that would allow me to put him in there. Because I think the lead actor category is also so good that I was like, I'm going to have to put him in supporting. But he does a great job nonetheless. I love his work. I do want to mention, I added Stanley Tucci for Supernova in here. Honestly, he should be lead as well. I think he was submitted as supporting, so Colin Firth could be submitted as lead, but I think Stanley Tucci, he really stands out in that movie. Like, it stands out in a good kind of way, of course. And then Robin DeJesus for Boys in the Band. Being that he was in such a star-studded cast, he stood out in all the right ways. Honestly, I would have given him the win here, but Daniel Kaluuya is still my winner. But Robin DeJesus was so close. He's one of the most enjoyable parts of Boys in the Band. And of course, Leslie Odom Jr. too is also great. But yeah, Daniel Kaluuya is my winner for Judas and the Black Messiah, actor in a supporting role. Next up for production design, the actual nominees that the Oscars have decided to nominate are The Father, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, News of the World, and Tenet. And I don't know, I didn't really see any set design or production design for Mank, or not for Mank, for News of the World. So I don't know why it's nominated here. I don't like Tenet, so I think The Father should win, because I think the production design there was so inventive, especially with, I don't want to spoil it, but like with, it was so good with how the set transforms into being sort of different things. And then Mank, I think, will win for this category, especially for that Hearst Castle recreation. I think it will win. And, you know, I wouldn't be mad if Mank won here. My short list includes Malcolm and Marie, Mank, and The Prom. The Prom, I don't know why I included it here. I think it's because they filmed it at one of like my local malls. So I was like, oh my gosh, I know that place. So yeah, I guess I'm including like scouting for sets in the category as well. I don't know if it should be, but it is in my book. And then Malcolm and Marie as well. I feel like Malcolm and Marie had the same kind of house that like Parasite did, where it's such a cool house, where it's really well utilized and like it adds to the storytelling aspect of it. And I also just wanted to mention Malcolm and Marie. So there you go, Malcolm and Marie. That's your one mention of this video. You're welcome. So my nominees for production design are Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, Boys in the Band, Emma, The Father, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Like I said, for The Father, it has such a dynamic kind of set that really makes it stand out, and so I still think it should win. Boys in the Band had a sort of a smaller kind of set, but it was all like one location, so it felt so homey and so like you felt like you were actually there. I think the set design there was really, really good. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I only nominated that for the club, the nightclub, and because of the final fight scene inside like that weird carnival tent. I think the production design there was so good, and I wish I could see that throughout the rest of the movie. But you know, Birds of Prey seems to have the same problem a lot, where it's like it's so good in one part, but then it like fails in the rest. And then Emma, oh my gosh, the production design in Emma was like, I don't know if you've seen pictures of Emma, but it's so pretty to look at. It's like candy. It's like candy. It's that kind of film where you just look at it and you're like, wow, this looks great. Next up, we have Best Cinematography, and the Academy has decided to acknowledge Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, News of the World, Nomadland, and Trial of the Chicago 7. Obviously, and I think this movie won at the Golden Globes as well, Nomadland will and should win for this category, because it is such a great movie. It doesn't need lavish sets to add to its prettiness. It is just taking the beauty of nature. It kind of looked like a documentary. Like, if you did not tell me that this was Nomadland, I would think it's an actual documentary. And just because of that, it wins Best Cinematography. For my short list, I have Judas and the Black Messiah, The United States vs. Billie Holiday, and The White Tiger. I think those are all really good with their cinematography, but nothing too stand out. For my nominees for Best Cinematography, I have Boys in the Band, The Man Who Sold His Skin, Nomadland, The Prom, and Soul. The Man Who Sold His Skin, it's a foreign film, so not many of you will know it, but the cinematography in there is so good. But like, you could tell they wanted to be high class with their cinematography. You could tell. For my notes on here, for The Prom, I just put I felt bad. So yeah, it's there. And then Soul, I know it's animated, but it also has really good cinematography. But I think, again, Nomadland is my winner for this category. And wasn't it obvious? For Best Visual Effects, the Oscar nominees for this category are Love and Monsters, The Midnight Sky, Mulan, The One and Only Ivan, and Tenet. It's kind of obvious Tenet will win for this category. If Tenet doesn't win, I'd be surprised. But I think when the nominees first got announced, I was kind of shocked to see The One and Only Ivan here. But I think it should win. Because I just really have a not a hard spot, like a soft spot. That's what it is. I really have a soft spot for that movie. My short list for Best Visual Effects are Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, Dolittle, and The Midnight Sky. If you could not already tell, I put some movies on my short list, or actually nominated, just because I feel bad for them. So Dolittle, that's why you're here. Birds of Prey didn't really have any visual effects. And The Midnight Sky, I guess. But my nominees for Best Visual Effects are The Invisible Man, Love and Monsters, The One and Only Ivan, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Tenet. I can't believe that they just completely forgot about Sonic the Hedgehog. But heck yeah, the redesign of Sonic was so good, and I can't believe they didn't mention that. The Invisible Man is not even a question why it's here. It's so good with its visual effects. But honestly, my favorite and my winner for Best Visual Effects is Love and Monsters, because that movie is so good. It was surprisingly good. I went in wanting to hate it, but I left loving it. So yes, Love and Monsters, you are my winner for Best Visual Effects. Okay, moving on to our next category, we have Best Editing. For the actual Oscars, the nominees are The Father, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. And I'm going to be completely honest, I have no clue when Nomadland or Promising Young Woman are here. They didn't really do anything too inventive with editing. I mean, same thing with Sound of Metal, I guess. But honestly, I think Sound of Metal will win. I don't really know why, I just think it will. Though I think Trial of the Chicago 7 should win. Can't believe I'm saying that, but I think it should. And The Father, I think also should win. Because it had really smooth transitions between each scene. I don't know how the Academy will feel towards it. My short list for Best Editing are Boys in the Band, Promising Young Woman, and Sound of Metal. Boys in the Band, the only reason why it's on here is because of the opening scene. Like, that editing was so, like, quick-paced and so sharp. So, yeah, I think that's why it's here. So, my nominees for Best Editing are Better Days, The Father, The Mauritanian, Palm Springs, and Trial of the Chicago 7. The Mauritanian and Palm Springs, they're here because I want them to be here. Honestly, The Mauritanian had a really good scene with editing where it was, like, the interrogation scene, but it was like really unethical. But probably most of you haven't seen that movie. And then Palm Springs, it's a movie about time loops, so of course we're gonna have heavy editing with that movie. And I think Palm Springs will be my winner for here, because I like that movie. So yeah, go Palm Springs, go you. You guys are gonna love me for this one. For Best Adapted Screenplay, the actual nominees are, and I will be reading the names of the screenwriters for this. For Borat, subsequent movie film, Delivery of Prodigious Bride to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan, we have Sacha Baron Cohen, Anthony Hines, Dan Swimer, Peter Bam, Erica Ravinoja, Dan Mazer, Jenna Friedman, and Lee Kern. For Florian Zeller and Christopher Hampton for The Father. Nomadland for Chloe Zhao. One Night in Miami with Ken Powers. And Ramin Barani for The White Tiger. I think that Chloe Zhao will win for Nomadland because didn't she win at the Golden Globes? I think so. But my one problem with Nomadland is that it doesn't really have a plot. Like, it does have a plot, but it's not plot driven. So I think Florian Zeller and Christopher Hampton should win for The Father, because that was like one of my favorite movies to come out this year. For my short list for adapted screenplay, I have Better Days, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and The Mauritanian. And I know that The Mauritanian, nobody really likes that movie, but, well, not nobody, but like, people aren't loving the movie. They're not really hating it, but it's my kind of movie. But I understand why it's not for everyone. My nominees for Best Adapted Screenplay are Matt Crowley and Ned Martell for Boys in the Band, Florian Zeller and Christopher Hampton for The Father, Eduardo Ponti and Ugo Chiti for The Life Ahead, Kemp Powers for One Night in Miami, and Ramin Barani for The White Tiger. I think the writing on all 5 of these movies is so strong. One Night in Miami, like that one scene between Sam Cooke and Malcolm X where they're arguing, I think that is some of the best writing I've ever seen. And same thing with The Life Ahead. I really enjoyed the writing there. Ramin Barani, it was a close one for him for The White Tiger, but I have to give it again to The Father for Christopher Hampton and Florian Zeller, because it was just, I enjoyed that movie so much, and the writing really carried it, because it's not like a big action-heavy movie. It was all dependent on the writing. For Best Original Screenplay, the Oscar nominees are Will Burson and Shaka King for Judas and the Black Messiah, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, Darius Marder and Abraham Marder for Sound of Metal, and Aaron Sorkin for Trial of the Chicago 7. Again, I want to mention I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of these names or if I accidentally leave some names out. I kind of went on Wikipedia real quick and put their names here, so I'm sorry if I forgot to include anyone that should be included. But for Original Screenplay, I think Aaron Sorkin will and should win. I did not like Trial of the Chicago 7 when I first watched it, but then I rewatched it and gave it some more of my attention. And gosh, the writing is so strong. I understand why people like Aaron Sorkin now. So good for him. I really like you in Trial of the Chicago 7. Keep doing that. And also, it's a courtroom drama. I understand that not many people are going to like that, but I told you I'm a poli-sci major, so that's going to be my interest. My short list for original screenplay are Palm Springs, Promising Young Woman, and Sound of Metal. The only reason why I didn't decide to include Promising Young Woman into my actual nominees is because I thought it was a little confusing with the messaging it was trying to go for by the end of the movie. But other than that, it was really strong throughout. But my nominees for Best Original Screenplay are Will Burson and Shaka King for Judas and the Black Messiah, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Sofia Coppola for On the Rocks, Pete Docter, Mike Jones, and Kemp Powers for Soul, and Aaron Sorkin for Trial of the Chicago 7. Someone's going to be upset that I put On the Rocks on here, but honestly, I felt bad for that movie. I kept trying to push it in every single category besides a couple of them, but you know what? This is where I could fit it in, and I like On the Rocks, and I'm not afraid to say that. Soul had some really good writing, and same thing with Judas and the Black Messiah, but honestly, I'm going to keep it the same winner with Trial of the Chicago 7 with Aaron Sorkin. He is such a good writer, and that movie is so engaging. I can't believe I didn't like it at first, but I do now, so I guess good for me. But I know not many people like Trial anymore, but that's understandable. I didn't like it at first. We're finally in the home stretch. We are at Best Actor in a Leading Role. The Oscars have decided to commemorate Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, and Stephen Yeun for Minari. And all 5 of these give... not all 5. Sorry, Gary Oldman. I did not like Mank. But, all of them, for the most part, they gave really strong performances. But Chadwick Boseman will and should win for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I'm going to be completely honest, I did not like that movie when I first watched it, but I rewatched it again recently, and I understood it, finally. I think this is one of the best performances he has ever given, and I'm so happy for Chadwick Boseman. He's a shoo-in for that win. But I do also want to mention Riz Ahmed and Anthony Hopkins for Sound of Metal and The Father, respectively, because those performances in those movies were so good. If it were a different year, I would have given them the win, because they were so good in each of their movies, and oh my gosh, this was such a strong year. Unfortunately, Gary Oldman and Stephen Yeun did not make my nomination list or my short list, but my short list does include Adarsh Gaurav, hopefully I say that correct, for The White Tiger, Andy Samberg for Palm Springs, and Harry Shum Jr. for All My Life. Now, most of you are going to be thinking, what the heck is All My Life? And I didn't hear about it either until my mom saw a trailer for it on Facebook, and I decided to watch it. And honestly, I felt bad for that movie, so I gave it a shortlist nomination here. So yeah, there you go, Harry Shum Jr. I loved you in Glee, and I liked you in that movie. So there you go. Andy Samberg, I put him here as well because for the same reason I put Maria Bakalova in my supporting actress list. And that's just because it's so much easier to recognize a dramatic performance over a comedic one. But Andy Samberg, he does a really good job in Palm Springs. He does a really good job, and I feel like more people should recognize him for that. The Golden Globes did, but of course, the Golden Globes have their own comedy and musical category, so it's easier for them. But my nominees for actor in a leading role are expected. Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Delroy Lindo for Da 5 Bloods, and Tahar Rahim for The Mauritanian. I already talked about the first three, so let's talk about Delroy Lindo. He was robbed of his Oscar nominations, and he does some of the best performance acting I have ever seen in a movie, especially his monologue, and you know what monologue I'm talking about if you watch Da 5 Bloods. But he does such a great job. Tahar Rahim for The Mauritanian. Nobody watched The Mauritanian, but if you do, you're going to realize that he does a great job in that movie. I've never felt more sympathetic for a character, more compassionate for one, and he really sells it. He does such a good job. I'm so happy with all 5 of these performances, and I really recommend that you all watch them, because this is some of the greatest work I've ever seen. We're almost at the end here. We are at actress in a leading role, and I think it's really close between all 5 of the nominees. My nominees and the actual Oscar nominees. I think it's so close between all of them, but let's go over it. The Oscars have decided to nominate Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andra Day for The United States vs. Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. I think different people have won in different award circles. I'm not too sure. I know that Viola Davis just won the SAG Awards for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but I have a feeling inside of me that Carey Mulligan will win for Promising Young Woman. But I am really in the camp that is fighting hard for Andra Day to win for The United States versus Billie Holiday. She carried that entire movie on her shoulders, all by herself. Not really by herself. The supporting cast did great as well. But Andra Day, she really stood out, and you could tell that this is what she should be doing, because she's such a great actress, and I'm so happy for her. And this is her first movie, and she knocks it out of the park. She's so good. I love Andra Day. So yes, Andra Day should win, but I think Carey Mulligan will win. My short list for this category is Zhao Dongyu for Better Days, Michelle Pfeiffer for French Exit, and Rosamund Pike for I Care a Lot. I know nobody's watched Better Days, but I really think you should, because I don't know why. I really like that movie. Michelle Pfeiffer for French Exit. She kills every single role that she does, and she almost carries every movie that she does. So yeah, I didn't love the movie French Exit, but she does such a good job in it. And it's Michelle Pfeiffer. You're going to expect something good. And then Rosamund Pike for I Care a Lot. She won the Golden Globe, and it was well deserved. I liked her and I Care a Lot. I do want to mention that I originally had Elizabeth Moss for The Invisible Man on my actual nominees list, but then I rewatched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and so this is what I ended up with. My nominees are Amy Adams for Hillbilly Elegy, Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andra Day for The United States vs. Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. What a strong category. I know a lot of people may disagree with me putting Amy Adams on here, but I think she was the best part about Hillbilly Elegy. It's the only nomination I gave for Hillbilly Elegy. So yes, I'm going to leave Amy Adams on here. Viola Davis and Carey Mulligan, they both kill it. Same thing with Vanessa Kirby. They kills it. And Viola Davis, I was kind of doubting when I first watched the movie, I was like, I don't understand why she was nominated. But then I rewatched it, and like I finally realized, yes, this is like really, really good work. So yeah, I still gotta say Andra Day is my winner. She won the Golden Globes, and she took that movie and she ran with it. And I love her performance in The United States versus Billie Holiday. So Andra Day, I really hope you win. I'm rooting for you. Thank you so much for giving me such an enjoyable performance, because you are fantastic. Thank you, Andra Day. Please say thank you, Andra Day, in the comments. Okay, we're on the final category, and you know that means it's Best Picture. The Oscars have nominated The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. Honestly, I'm not surprised. This is what everyone was kind of expecting. Maybe a lack of Defy Bloods or One Night in Miami here or there, but I don't know. They decided to go with 8 when I know the limit is 10. So I guess they were just being that way. You know, I don't like Mank. And I even watched it at 1.5 times the speed, and even then I had to turn it off. I tried rewatching it the other day, and I could not even get through 5 minutes of it. So Mank is automatically at last place for me. Minari, there's nothing wrong with the movie, I think, from what I remember, but I feel like I need to rewatch it in order for me to truly, truly love it. Promising Young Woman, I think, also is just... I think it's really confusing with the messaging that it is trying to tell the audience. So I wouldn't think that Promising Young Woman would win. Trial of the Chicago 7, I think they won SAG, but I'm not too sure. But I don't think Trial of the Chicago 7 will win or should win either. I think Nomadland will win because of the Golden Globes win. And I think it's just Nomadland. It's the clear front runner. I think Chloe Zhao is going to win Best Directing. Like, Nomadland could sweep. We never know. But Nomadland could also lose a bunch. We never know. As for who I think should win, I am really in between The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, and Sound of Metal. And this is the only category where I have not decided who I think should win, because I really am struggling in between the three. But I you know what? I'm going to give it to Sound of Metal. I think Sound of Metal should win. It was my favorite one out of the year. But Judas and the Black Messiah and The Father, you guys are so close. I love those movies. Okay, moving on to my short list. We have One Night in Miami, Trial of the Chicago 7, and The United States versus Billie Holiday. I think all three of these were so close to making it to my official nominee list. All three of these could have made it to my Best Picture nomination list, and I would not have been upset. Now my nominees for Best Picture, the big one. I decided to include 10 because the Oscars, like, the limit is 10, so why not hit the limit? So here we are with Boys in the Band, Defy Bloods, The Father, The Invisible Man, Judas and the Black Messiah, The Mauritanian, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, and Sound of Metal. The Invisible Man is on here because horror needs some recognition, and it is one of the best horror movies I've seen in recent times. Like, Invisible Man and A Quiet Place, I think, are redefining the horror genre. Maybe even Bird Box. I don't know. That's a weird case. You know what? I really love all these movies, and I'm really in between Boys in the Band, The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, The Mauritanian, and Sound of Metal on who will win. I'm really in between those. Like, again, I did not write who I think should win for this category because I decided to wait till the last minute, which is now. I originally had Boys in the Band as my winner because I just really enjoyed that movie, but I think I'm going to give the win again to Sound of Metal. I think Sound of Metal is one of the greatest movies I've seen recently, and you know, I rewatched it and I still very much enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a Sound of Metal. But Boys in the Band, The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, and The Mauritanian were really close. I mean, this will probably give you an insight into what my personality is like and what my movies are. And these 10 nominations, I think these are the best movies to come out of the year. But I think best is also different from my favorite movies. Because if it were my favorite movies, I'd be nominating movies like Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, Love and Monsters and probably Borat's subsequent movie film. I'm not going to say the full title of that one because I don't have it memorized. But yeah, I'd be nominating movies like that. But I think best is so different from favorite. If I did a favorite list, then it'd be entirely different. Probably some of the same names. You'll see like Mauritanian or Invisible Man will be on there. But I think that this year we had such strong nominees for the Oscars. I'm happy because I feel like I would normally be like promoting like the big Marvel blockbusters that would normally come out throughout the year, but I'm kind of glad that they didn't come out, so I got a chance to look at these because these are some good hidden gems that most people haven't even heard of, but I think they're so good, and I really liked most of them. But yeah, that's who I think should win and will win for the 2021 93rd, I think it is, Oscar Awards or Academy Awards, whatever it's called.